Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're jumping right into it. We're going to read the third chapter, the fourth chapter, fifth chapter. I would even like to read the sixth chapter. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not, but we're going to try. And we'll probably summarize certain parts of it maybe, or let's just see how it goes. Let's put the timer on and see how quick we go through the third chapter. You ready? Everybody feeling good? Okay. So we just, in the second chapter, we heard this, Krishna started explaining what he wanted Arjuna, what he could become. He could become a sage of steady mind, but that he could become that in a way that Arjuna didn't anticipate that he could become that, right? That not by walking away from the battle, but by engaging in the battle. Not by walking away from the world, but by engaging in your worldly duties, in your Vedic duties, in your social duties, that you could become the sage that you've got that picture of what the sage is, how peaceful they are, that they can tolerate things, that they have this internal happiness, they can control their senses. You understand that as being the sage, being the yogi, and you thought that you only get that by walking away. I'm telling you, I want you to become that, Arjuna. And then you'll have relief from all the suffering that you're going through. Then you won't be in this state of anxiety that you're in. But I'm trying to tell you that the way for you to do that is through contemplating knowledge of the self, right? And we could say knowledge in general, because knowledge of the self means in relation to how I relate to the material energy and how I relate to the Paramatma, right? Those are the three categories. The self, you could say the self in relation to the super self, the self in relation to the material energy, the super self in relation to the material energy, understanding this triangle, that's knowledge. And when you really understand it, when you understand it deeper and deeper, when it becomes integrated into how you see the world and how you respond to the world, that we'll call that wisdom, we'll call that vijnana. And that leads to, that is a state of peace, a state of clarity. The state of consciousness that you're desiring right now, you'll get it through working through the world. But Arjuna's heard this. He heard it in the chapters, in the part of the chapter, the second chapter, text 30 through 30 or 31 through 37. He was saying, fight this war, fight this battle. Do it so that you can avoid bad reactions and get good results. And then he switched away from that and he said, do it without considering victory or defeat. That's yoga, right? Stop worrying about all the flowery words of the Vedic texts that are promising you wonderful material results from your activities. Don't be attached to material opulence, material enjoyment. Do it not considering any of these things. Let go, and that's how you find peace, right? That's how you find peace, by letting go. Then you could even be doing the things that you're doing, but from this platform of detachment. And it's going to be practical for you because you're going to have your mind engaged. Rather than sitting alone with an unpeaceful mind, you take that unpeaceful mind, you engage it in your duties, right? And then you're reflecting on this knowledge as you do it, and it's a safe path. But Arjuna, to him, it sounds like two paths. On one hand, you're asking me to fight. On the other hand, you're asking me to be this contemplative yogi. I don't understand. And that's where chapter 3 picks up. Arjuna said, "Oh Janardana, oh Krishna, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence, the buddhi, this reasoning process, if you think that intelligence is better than fruit of works, right? If you think that being the contemplative yogi is better than being the fruitive person that wants to enjoy the things of this world, then why are you telling me to fight this battle?" Logical question, yes? He hasn't caught on yet. He hasn't caught on. "My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be more beneficial for me." He says, was it ekam vada? Give me one instruction. It sounds like you're giving me two. And now Krishna's going to answer. Okay? He's going to have to do this again in the 5th chapter. So Arjuna's still not even getting it then. Krishna says, O Arjuna, I have already explained to you that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation. This right here, the word I believe he uses is Sankhya Yoga. What is this? What is this referring to? Jnana. And in terms of external engagement?
Karma yoga.
No, the opposite.
Oh.
Right? Renunciation.
Okay.
Renunciation of external duties, like that. Renunciation of external activities. So he's saying there's two ways that people go about spiritual life. One is by this empirical philosophical speculation. That's essentially jnana, right? And the other, Prabhupada translates it as devotional service. Why don't you open up this text, please? So here's the two terms: jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. So in a sense, it's saying that there's this, there's the jnana yogis and the karma yogis. He's using here the word karma yoga bigger. It includes bhakti yoga, or at least most of bhakti yoga. It's saying there's two ways you can go about spiritual life. You can walk away from the world, or you can engage with the world. That's essentially what he's saying here. Is that clear? Okay. You could take, sometimes the terminology gets a little confusing, but if you drew a line on a board, and on one side you'd put sankhya, jnana, vairagya, renunciation, karma sannyasa, giving up karma. And on the other side, you put karma yoga. You could put bhakti yoga, kind of. You could put, especially karma yoga, engaging with the world. This is the distinction that he's drawing. He's saying both are valid ways to go about pursuing spiritual life, pursuing liberation. Question from Will. Look at Sarah jump into action there. Like a pit crew. That's good. Thank you.
Surely engaging with the world is inevitable on both sides of the equation anyway.
Engaging with the world is?
Whether you're organic or karma, you're always going to be having to engage in the world to some degree. Yeah.
Krishna's actually going to say that. You're speaking just like Krishna right now. In a few verses. Okay, we got when he said he translates others by devotional service. Actually, that's Prabhupada's translating karma yoga as devotional service. He's stretching it a bit. It's legit, but he's stretching it a bit. He wants us to be thinking of this in terms of bhakti. Not merely by abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. You see, just by walking away, everybody's engaged on some level. Nor by renunciation alone could one achieve perfection. Just your external engagement or lack of engagement does not necessarily transform your internal world, right? It's part of it. It can play a role in it, but it doesn't guarantee it. And just because you walk off this battlefield doesn't mean that you're going to have a peaceful mind. Yes, Arjuna.
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but that's something I've always had a really difficult time understanding, and you just clarified it, like changed my life in a minute. You said,
okay,
devotional service,
yeah,
is nishkama karma yoga combined with bhakti. Is that what you said?
You see, let's do this. Use these categories that are commonly used, that the Bhagavad-gita does kind of speak to, but they got popularized later on. And if we said there are 4 paths of yoga, if we want to divide yoga into 4 different paths, then you'd have Ashtanga yoga, you'd have Jnana yoga, you'd have Karma yoga, and you'd have Bhakti yoga. Yes? People have heard of those categories before? It's kind of a common, popular way of dividing these up. So what Krishna is just saying here is essentially you can draw a line right here. Okay, and you can put this under one umbrella. You put this under the other umbrella. And these two would fall under the category called karma, not kanda. Karma, sannyasa. Sannyasa means to renounce something. Karma sannyasa means they're renouncing their work in the world, their activity, their action. And here action meaning working engagement socially. Okay, again, mother, father, husband, wife, all these dharmas, and then your occupation in the world, the stage of life that you're in, all of these things would fall under the category of karma, your different social engagements in the world. Karma sannyasa means you walk away from the world. You don't engage in them. Now, what would the other category that includes karma yoga and bhakti yoga be called? This is where things get just a little tricky. But they would be called karma yoga. Making your work into yoga, right? You're not here, you're karma sannyasa, you're giving up work. Here you're turning your work into yoga in these paths. Okay, so now we have karma yoga being used in two different contexts here. Right? And both here karma and bhakti yogas fit under this broader category that we could call it all karma yoga. So here karma yoga just means you're turning your social engagement into yoga. Now there's a distinction between these two, is that this one is necessarily focused on developing prema. And they're doing practices that are focused on that, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padaseva, all of that. Hearing about Krishna's pastimes, chanting Krishna's names, worshiping the deity of Krishna, etc., etc. The karma yogi may not be doing that. They're just trying to work in the world and not get reactions. They're applying knowledge to their work and becoming liberated, becoming free from entanglement in this world. But they're not necessarily carefully cultivating devotion in their heart for God. Is that clear? No? The karma yogi, what have they done essentially? They've taken the knowledge of jnana and they're applying it and reflecting on it as they work in the world, in their workplace. Is that clear? Okay, that's it. They're a karma yogi if they're doing that. And if they're doing it, they're not becoming entangled in the world. The knowledge is purifying the selfish motive that would bring reactions and entanglement. So now they're acting in the world and they're becoming free rather than becoming entangled. They're experiencing in the transformation that comes to a yogi. They're rising up to that knowledge platform. They're getting this very clear, absorbed mind. They're getting all that clarity, even though they're in the workplace. That's a karma yogi, pure and simple. Bhakti yogi has all of that, but there's something more. They have very clearly and unmistakably, 100%, identified a goal that the karma yogi has not necessarily identified. Fact is, to some degree, they have probably instilled, they probably want to please God through their actions and all of that. But this person is 100% focused on, I want to develop that love for God. I want to awaken that prema within my heart. This is my whole goal. This is the whole point. Karma yogi doesn't necessarily have that goal and doesn't necessarily have the same practices. Yes.
But those two things combined equal devotional service. I'm working without attachment.
Don't think of these two combining. Think of their sharing elements. Okay, and this is a nuance that speaks to your question too, because the fact is that bhakti doesn't 100% fit under this umbrella. That theoretically, you can be a bhakti yogi and walk away from the world. You could be a bhakti yogi that lives out in a hut up in the mountains and sits there and meditates on Krishna's leelas all day. So bhakti kind of transcends it all. And if you were to make a Venn diagram, some of it would have to be overlapping into here. Some bhakti yogis would be renouncing all their social duties. But what I'm just trying to show here is that karma yoga can be used in a broader tense that includes bhakti. And Krishna does that in the Bhagavad-gita. And therefore, Prabhupada takes the license to translate the word karma yoga as devotional service. All of these, to be done well, they actually have to have an element of devotion in them. I'm not going to get into that. It's kind of like a deeper philosophical inquiry. But this will probably, like more than others, it's likely that a karma yogi is going to have quite a strong element of devotion. I do this not for me, I do it for God. But who is God and what is God and all that may not, the bhakti yogi has a really clear, focused idea and goal of developing that love for God. Is that okay? I'm bringing all this up so that when we come back here and see that, could we open up this one again? Number 3. That when we see Prabhupada translated karma yogena yoginam, karma yogena by the linking process of devotion, he's stretching it a little bit, but he knows what Krishna is emphasizing because Krishna is going to emphasize it in clear, unmistakable language throughout the Gita. That he's asking Arjuna to become more than a karma yogi. He's asking him to become a bhakti yogi. So he's bringing us there already in this verse. You could say it's taking some liberties. I'm not an expert in Sanskrit, but as I can see it, he's taking some liberties, but he's doing it consistently with the message of the Gita. And what Prabhupada was able to do was that people that read his Gita understood its message and had their lives transformed. And no other Gita ever did that. So he's getting us to the point. He's always bringing us to the point. He's always bringing us to the point. Questions? Yes, Paul. Let me send this one back.
I just wanted to ask Prabhu, is it possible we just do questions at the end of each chapter? At the
Yeah, because we're never going to get through.
well, not just that, because I just feel like I love the tangents, but like then we kind of lose the flow of the chapter.
I
Maybe it'd
think
be better.
Shall we try that?
Yes.
Okay, so
we could
then that
do it.
means you need to write down your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. You ready? I think that was a good suggestion. Good suggestion, Paul.
Are you done with this, Prabhu? Done with this?
Yeah. All right, then let's go. Text 4, we read that, not merely by abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one achieve perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Even the sattvic person, they're conditioned by their sattvic nature, and it affects the way that they behave. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects. One who becomes a karma sannyasi, walks away from the world, but still internally, their mind dwells on sense objects. He's talking to Arjuna straight, right? You're going to walk off the battlefield, but where's your mind going to be? It's still going to be on thinking of Duryodhana, how he treated your wife, etc. Certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Okay, this is kind of like he's saying he's pointing out a type of hypocrisy or a type of pretentiousness that can be found in the idea of the renunciate. Oh, they're so spiritual. Are they? Or have they just made an external change but haven't transformed internally? If they haven't changed internally, they're just pretending. They may be sitting there in a lotus position, eyes closed, and the whole thing. Everybody's looking at them. Oh, look at that yogi. But what's going on inside? This is what he's drawing attention to. On the other hand, now he's going to contrast it with a karma yogi who doesn't look like a great yogi, who looks like a materialist. Right? On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga and Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Oh, that's a game changer right there. Perform your prescribed duty, for by doing so is better than not working. He just told him exactly what to do now. Right? One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. This goes to what Will was saying earlier. Even the renunciate out in the forest is going collecting a few berries and, you know, doing whatever he needs to do to survive. So there's no way you can completely eliminate this external work from one's life. All right. Now we're going to have a shift, and Krishna is going to use an analogy, something that Arjuna is familiar with, because it's very Vedic. This is very Vedic talk now. He's going to give how sacrifice is part of how the universe works. You could say it like this: how the word he's going to use is sacrifice, or yagna. And that word may be kind of unusual to us, or a little different, or bring up ideas of animal sacrifices or things like that. We could just use the word offering. You know, that this idea of making an offering is coded into the universe. So if you want to be materially successful or spiritually successful, it's going to involve offering. Right? For spirituality is all about offering your time, offering your mind, offering your heart, offering your service. That's the healthy state of the being. That's the healthy state of the soul. And to train us to think like that, even if you want to be materially successful, you have to start thinking in terms of offering. Right? So we hear about how that plays out in the Vedic texts. Why don't we slide this up, put 9 on the top. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods. Did we miss 9? Yeah. There we go. No problem. Work done as a sacrifice, as an offering for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in this way, you will always remain free from bondage. If you make your work, rather than trying to get the results for yourself, if you make it an offering to God, right, then it becomes free from reaction. In the beginning of now he's going to say this is how it's been coded into the universe from the beginning. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, right? The people doing the work and the people that are granting the results of that work, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, along with the rituals by which you can make offerings, right? Here's the way to officially make your offerings. And bless them by saying, be thou happy by this yagna, by this offering, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. This is all Vedic talk here. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Which kanda is this? Karma kanda. Very clear. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by performance of offerings, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return, certainly a thief. What did we call that person? There was the karmi, but before that there was the vikarmi, right? Okay. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of bad karma, because they eat food which is offered first in sacrifice, right? When we eat our food, where did that food come from, right? He's going to talk about that. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. They're taking something that's not theirs. How do we understand that? All living beings subsist on food grains. Okay, we eat grains. Where do they come from? Which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of sacrifice, yagna, and yagna is born of prescribed duties. He's saying the very food that we eat is a manifestation of our good karma, of some kind of offering that we've done. And all of the teachings on how to make offerings come from the Vedas. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're apurusheya. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly lives a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. You're not moving forward in life. You're not really going to find the happiness that you're searching for or that is your nature if you live a selfish life. Even the most fundamental thing that we do, eating, the very thing that we need to do to continue our existence, see that it's all a gift to you and respond by making an offering of everything that before you eat it. And now you're actually operating according to how the universe is designed. And rather than being punished or entangled due to your actions, you're actually becoming free. It's a coding within the universe that will help us move towards selflessness, towards gratitude, towards selflessness. Is that clear? He's saying that's how the universe works. And the reason he's telling Arjuna this is he's saying, what he's going to be saying is, Arjuna, you can make an offering of your life. All the work that you do, you think of it in terms of getting something for it. I'm telling you, all the work that you do can be made an offering to God. Turn your entire life into an offering. Now you have a spiritual path that really works. And you can call that karma yoga and or bhakti yoga. That makes sense? That's why he's bringing this up. Now he's going to say some people, they don't need to do these sacrifices because all of these rituals are meant for someone who's not yet enlightened. But let's see this here. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, not in the external things, but one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Prabhupada often uses the word when he says duties. What word does he precede it with? Does anyone know? Thank you. Prescribed duties. Prescribed duties. So prescribed means two things. One, it means they're given to an individual according to their particular malady, right? The doctor doesn't just give the same prescription to everyone. Prescription is there because it's appropriate for some people and not appropriate for other people, right? Prescriptions are there because, there's what over-the-counter medicines that probably won't be too dangerous for someone, but prescribed medicines are given because it's very important that only the person of a certain condition takes this, and a doctor has to okay this because the doctor knows exactly what's good for them. But prescribed also means that it's kind of like a medicine. It's healing a particular malady. And so here he's saying that, where was it? Oh yeah, but for the person who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. There's no prescription for that person. They're already satisfied. They're peaceful already. They don't need a particular practice to go through to become peaceful. They've already found all their happiness within. They're healed. Does that make sense? So whether they do their duty or not doesn't matter. They've already achieved the wellness. Everybody's looking at me. I'm feeling like we're lost right now. Speak to me, people. Are we lost? Will. Yes. Two things, meaning prescribed, meaning one is it's on an individual basis, and two, it's a medicine. It's meant to heal a particular malady that individual has. Will, could we get the microphone? Here we go.
It sounds to me like what it's saying is that actually being Jnanic is good here. Because,
Yes.
Yeah.
So knowledge, knowing the self. If you know the self, truly know the self, then you become satisfied because you realize I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, I'm not the changes of this world. This world is always going to change, but right here in my own self, I have bliss.
Yes.
Right?
But if I were to read that sentence by itself,
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily conclude that there's a greater end goal, which is to develop prema.
No.
It would look like this is okay.
Because
this is
this
the
verse
game.
is not speaking on the love platform, it's speaking on the knowledge platform. right? And particularly in the first 6 chapters, it's speaking on duty and knowledge, combining duty and knowledge, and giving a picture of what that looks like in wisdom. And only occasionally is it dropping this love or dropping one of these Krishna factor verses, which is going to come in this chapter. It's going to come and say, he's saying, do your duty, do it with detachment, control your senses in this way, and then bring it all to me. Krishna's going to say, once, just like he did in the previous chapter, text 261, he's also going to do that, I think, in the 19th verse of this chapter. So it's not the full message is given in every verse. And that's why Prabhupada translated that other verses as devotional service, because he's trying sometimes to invest it a little bit with the full message of the Gita. Is that okay?
Yes,
That
thank
makes
you.
sense? Okay. All right, let us keep reading. Now he's describing the self-realized person, and he's saying a self-realized person doesn't have any duty to perform in life because they're already self-realized. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties. Let me just try to be really clear about this. Let's say I am a Vaishya in the Vedic context. It means I'm a business owner. I'm good at making money. Okay? You all know people like that in life? They're better at making money than other people. They have an intelligence for it. They can sniff it out. They got the drive to do it. But sometimes those people that make lots of money, they have a certain, you could call it a sin or a certain darker side of their intelligence, their aptitude, their drive. All this can be healthy, but there's something in them that's not quite healthy for this kind of person. And what would that be? Greed, right? Greed, right? They're making so much money, they want to make more. They want to make more money than the other billionaire, right? So they get a prescribed duty. Prescribed for them, not prescribed for the spiritual leader, not prescribed for the warrior, not prescribed for the employee or the laborer. They have a prescribed duty that's situated, that's suited just to their mentality and to their weakness, which here in this case is the potential is greed. Right? It's a certain psychology, certain personality type. It's a common pattern. So for you, there's a prescribed duty. What's the prescribed duty that's there for the Vaishya? Not for the others.
Charity.
Thank you very much. They give in charity, right? It's your duty to take good care of your employees and be charitable. Make sure your employees that they make enough money, that they have good conditions. Like nowadays, that would translate as they have good health care, that they have a salary by which they can cover their needs, right? Maybe that they would have a certain amount of vacation during the year so that they can just have a peaceful mind, that they get Europeans here, you got it much better than Americans, I believe, in these things, right? You know, like, okay, but like postnatal vacation, get like a year off or something like that.
Maternity leave.
Maternity leave,
That's all.
3 years. Okay, you still got it pretty good over there. And in the United States,
3 months.
you get 3 months. You know, get back to work.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
So you understand. This is what it's saying, that the business owner, they have to be charitable. They have to be kind. They're meant to be a caretaker, right? The big money makers, that's great. Make all the money, make tons of money. Go out there, do it. But now use it to care for others. And giving charity becomes their prescribed duty, right? The Brahmin doesn't have that prescribed duty to be charitable like that. You know why?
Because he doesn't make money.
They don't have any money. They live on That's their prescribed duty. Live on donations, right? It's a totally different thing. Prescribed duty, okay? And by giving charity, the duty of the Brahmana is he's supposed to talk to the business leader, and he's supposed to say, you think you're going to be happy by making more money, but that's not going to work for you, my friend. What's going to make you happy is you've made the bar of success to make more money than the next person. That's not success. Success is when you're caring for everyone, right? You can make tons of money. That's great. Use it to care for others, and you will actually become more happy. People will love you, right? they'll recognize that. You're going to find an internal happiness. And if you keep living the way you're living with this greedy way, even your own family's not going to love you. You're going to be miserable. Try to understand you're going to create bad karma for yourself. And all the misery that you create for all of your workers, you're going to have to get it all back on you. Is that what you want? Right? And then they're like, no, that's not what I want. Okay. So then now try to, you see, people think that the caste system is a tool of oppression. It's really meant to counteract oppression. It's just been misused. But it's really there to counteract oppression, right? That there needs to be wise people that are guiding the business leaders and the political leaders so that they realize if I oppress others, I'm going to suffer, right? So prescribed duties. Is that clearer now? Make sense? And we could go through all the different, what are the prescribed duties for this, for the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra? What are the prescribed duties for the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa? They all have prescribed duties, prescribed according to their mindset, prescribed according to their stage of life, right? The Grihasthas, the married people, they also have this, they need to be charitable, right? They need to give because they're the ones that are making the money. The Brahmachari student doesn't make money. The Vanaprastha doesn't make money. The sannyasi doesn't make money. So when you're in that stage, you got licensed, have sex, make money, get a house, have children, be material, enjoy material life, but also give. When they were once a devotee was getting married and he asked Prabhupada, what is the duty of a householder? And do you know what he said?
Raise Krishna,
Huh?
raise Krishna consciousness children.
He didn't say that either. He said something very fundamental and simple. So simple that the person that heard it didn't even think, did I hear that right? He said, every time that you're about to eat, when your meal has been prepared and you're ready to sit down to eat, you need to walk outside your front door and yell out to the whole neighborhood, we're about to eat now. If anybody's hungry, please come and eat. He said, that's the duty of a married person, that you're the ones that are supplying. You're the ones that are providing. You need to make sure that everybody's cared for. You're responsible, like that, socially responsible. Okay, so we're talking about prescribed duties. We said a self-realized man has no purpose to fill through discharge of prescribed duties. You see how giving charity is a way for the business person to evolve. By living only by accepting donations is a way for the Brahmana to evolve. You see that? Mm. But if you're already evolved, you don't need to have any duties. You can walk away from the world if you want. It doesn't matter. You're already evolved. Does everyone get that? This is just real fundamental. This whole first 6 chapters are kind of around it. A self-realized person has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has any need to depend on any other living being. They've transcended. They're free. But now Krishna's going to flip it on Arjuna. Even if you are that Arjuna, which you're clearly not. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, did I jump one? No, I didn't. Therefore, therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, being detached from the fruits, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Now, text 20, he's going to say, Arjuna, even if you were self-realized, you should still do your duty. Why? Let's roll that on up. Get 20 to the top, please. Kings such as Janak. Who is Janak? Anyone know who his daughter was? Sita, right? This is Sita's father, great king. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by the performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Oh, Arjuna, there's no work prescribed for him. Now, Krishna, so he's saying, Arjuna, you should do it just to set the example for other people, that this is the way that you advance. This is the way you evolve, by being dutiful in the world and selfless in the world, right? Not walking away from the world. Very few people can walk away But if we see great people practicing yoga by being responsible in the world, people will follow that. And now he's going to say, even I do that, right? What do I need to gain? Krishna doesn't need to evolve, but he's saying, but if I didn't do my duties in this world, everybody else would follow. So, O son of Pritha, there's no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I any need to obtain anything, and yet I'm engaged in prescribed duties. For if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, certainly all men would follow my path. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put into ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population. I would therefore destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. Okay? You see, it's, here, this isn't the Krishna of Vrindavan, who was in a good Vaishya family, cowherd family. But this is Krishna of Dwarka, where he's like the prince, right? Okay. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. He's saying it's really not a good path to encourage people to walk away from the world. Most of them will not succeed at it. Better to engage them in working with detachment. So all this karma yoga. Okay, let's keep moving fast because there's so much to cover. Oh, this is the spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. We spoke a little bit about this yesterday, right? You're sitting in a chair, you're plugged into a virtual reality, you think you're doing everything, but really it's all being carried out externally. It's the movements of the external energy that are happening, but we identify with the body. We identify ourselves as being the doer. And with that misconception, we begin to think that the goal of life is to satisfy the senses. Bewildered, one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work and devotion and fruitive results, right? Try to see, Arjuna, that there's two types of work. There's people that are attached that are working, and there's people that are detached that are working. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. That's for sure. That definitely happens. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. This is one of these Krishna factor verses. Now, this wasn't said earlier in the verses, right? When you brought that up, Will? But now he's saying it very explicitly. Don't just be a karma yogi, be a bhakti yogi. Don't just be a yogi in general. Make me the object of your offering. Make me the object of your meditation. Don't use it as don't use spirituality as an excuse to be lazy or to walk away from your duty. Do it all, and do it all for me. This is the message of the Gita, right? Let's look at it again. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, make it an offering. Do this duty that you have to do, but make it an offering, and not just an offering, but make it an offering to me. Surrendering all your works to me with full knowledge of me. Knowledge of Krishna is going to be the topic of the next chapter. Here it's being introduced, and knowledge, not just knowledge, but knowledge of Krishna is particularly important and powerfully transformational knowledge. Because you're knowing the root of all existence, right? Just practically. You understand where everything comes from, where you come from. On so many levels, it's the most essential knowledge. And if one gets it, it changes everything. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, being detached, no claims of proprietorship, nothing's mine. Even though I look like a worker in the world that has possessions, his own business and all that, no, nothing's mine. Right? Do your work with that Jnanic depth, with no claims to proprietorship and free from lethargy. I walk away from it. I'm not, no. Fight, engage, dig in, or dig into the world. All right? And that's one of those verses where he just tightens the focus and brings it right to him. Okay. Text 31. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. I'm going to summarize the rest of this chapter, I think, because we just want to keep things moving. But what's going to happen is Arjuna is going to say to Krishna, why do we do things with attachment, even when we know that we shouldn't? How is it that we remain so attached? And Krishna is going to say it's kama, it's desire, or Prabhupada translates it as lust, right? Lust for the things of this world, right? And he's going to describe where that lust exists, how it's programmed in different parts of this. The senses are programmed with it, the mind is programmed with it, and that it can be countered with knowledge. And in that way, one can set themselves free. That's the third chapter. So he's unmistakably saying work in this world. He's been very clear about that. He's saying, but work with knowledge and detachment. Don't be a pretender that walks away from the world. Engage in this world. Make everything an offering of me. Do it because it's good medicine for you. Do it to set a good example. Don't encourage people not to work. Better to encourage them to work with knowledge and devotion. When you do that, that knowledge will go right to all the programming of desire within your mind, and you'll become detached and you'll become free. That's karma yoga, the message of the third chapter. We clear? Questions about the third chapter? Arjuna.
I just have one question. Throughout the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna consistently says, you're not envious of me, do this without envy. I don't understand what he means by that.
Why don't we wait till we get there?
Well, just in that one,
Which one
just in that one
that I read where do everything for me?
And you're not envious of me, do it without envy.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Do it without any hostility towards me. Because if I were to say to you, do everything for me, give everything to me, it's gonna be like, why should I give everything to you? Right? But Krishna is of a very different category. He's actually giving us everything that we have to give anyway. You know, it's like if a parent was saying to the child, just come back to me. Right? Just come back to me. I'll take care of you. Thank you. Why should they go back to the parent? You know, because the parent is the one that loves for them and provides for them. And Krishna is saying, I'm the one that loves and provides for everyone. The fifth chapter is going to end with this powerful Krishna factor verse. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam. I am the enjoyer, the natural, central, ontological enjoyer of all Bhoktaram yagnatapasam, of all sacrifices, all offerings, and all austerities. They're all meant for my pleasure. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarva loka maheshvaram. I'm not just the Ishvara, the controller, I'm the Maha Ishvara. I'm the super controller. Different planets have their controllers, but I'm the controller of those controllers. Sarva loka, of all planets and all of the demigods that rule those planets, I'm the Ishvara. I'm the controller of those controllers. Oh my God, this guy's going on and on about himself. You know, okay, you're the enjoyer, you're the controller. And then he says something else. Third line, Suridham Sarvadehinam. Sarvadehinam means of all embodied beings. Suhridam. Hridaya means heart. Su means good. Suhridam. Suhridam means like a friend. It means that in their heart they have nothing but good for you. You understand? A real friend, there's nothing, they only wish you well. They don't wish anything from you. They don't wish any harm for you. They don't feel like they're in competition with you. Suridam, Suridam Sarvadehinam. I'm the well-wishing, good-hearted, pure-hearted friend of every living entity. Sarvadehinam. Gyatva Mam, one who knows me this way, Shantam Richati. They get full peace, right? They achieve complete peace. So he's saying, look at how the universe works. I am ontologically the center of the universe. I'm the root of all existence. I'm the one that is nourishing and providing for everyone. Even if you get something from the devas like rain or sunshine, I'm the one that gives them that so that they can give it to you. I'm the root, you're the leaf. It's in your best interest to connect to me. I'm not saying this because I want to exploit you. I have no need to exploit you. Everything is my energy in the first place. I'm speaking this for your good. I'm speaking this so that you can be happy. Suridam Sarvadehinam. I'm saying this because my heart has nothing but good intentions for you. If you offer, just like the leaf on the tree, it does something for the plant, right? It takes in sunlight and it chlorophyll, thank you. So photosynthesis, it does these things. It serves the rest, But if it were to disconnect itself, it would just dry up. So saying, all that you do it for me, and you'll stay nourished and vital and alive, And when you disconnect from me, you dry up. So non-envious means I don't have a problem hearing that. Envious means when I hear that, I'm like, why you and not me? Why you? And that's the problem. Right, that's the problem. Other chapters are going to say that we were born into this world with this envious attitude, and it's going to say that we think ourselves. What is it? Ishvara aham bogi. Ishvara aham. I am the controller. Aham bogi. I am the enjoyer. It's the exact opposite. Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram yagatapasam. I'm the enjoyer. And what's the next line again? Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I'm the controller, but I'm your friend. And what we do is say, no, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller. And we try to enjoy this world and we try to control this world and we suffer because we're not. As much as the harder that we try, the more that we suffer. Look at the big controllers in the world. Do you think they're happy? I mean, come on. Right? It's almost like the more that they have control of, the more that they're suffering. Yeah. I just saw something that demonstrated it so clearly. Oh, it was really interesting. It was just one of these clips that came by on my social media. But it showed this very famous musician. He's married to a very famous, beautiful Bollywood star. And he was at some one of these like award ceremonies where you're coming down the red carpet and all that. And he's got this tuxedo on. He looks super sharp. And his wife is there and she's looking, beautiful gown and she's looking very beautiful. And he's waiting for her. I think she's probably like like the cameras are on her and then she's going to come to him. And he's taking out his handkerchief and he's wiping down his forehead. And he was honestly saying, I was going through a total panic attack. I was experiencing a total panic attack. I was in full anxiety. Everybody's thinking, look at him. He's handsome. He's the center of attention. He's got this beautiful wife. Everybody's looking at him. He's the center. And as soon as we try to take that central role, we suffer. We can't handle it. We just can't handle it. Only if we really become selfless are we able to play those roles gracefully. And otherwise we suffer in those roles. Krishna doesn't suffer. Krishna can handle it, right? He can handle being the center. He can handle loving everyone and satisfying everyone. We can't do it. And because we can't satisfy everyone, everything gets complicated and problematic. So non-envious means, okay, I see your ontological position in the world. And I see my ontological position in the world. And that's fine. That's fine. I don't need to be the most powerful force. I don't need to say that there's nothing more powerful than me or no one more powerful than me. I can accept that. I can accept that eternally I'm dependent on another. If I can't accept that, I'm envious. And that's going to block us. It's going to steer us down another road. It won't allow us to fully reconnect to our source. Is that okay? That's envy. It's a big topic, and it'll come up more. Yes, Will. Got the microphone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, my understanding is that, the reason why we left the spiritual world is because we wanted to know what it was going to be like to be Krishna. So
This is the way Prabhupada explains it.
so envy is the essence of Maya, I guess you could say.
That's exactly right.
My question here is the distinction between karma sannyas and karma yoga is one side is a further clarification of each division. One side is dual, the other side is non-dual. One is personalist, one is impersonal.
Not necessarily entirely. That would be extending it a bit farther than being. It wouldn't be precise.
Okay, so an Ashtanga yogi could also believe in God, and so could a Jnana yogi.
Yes, and it's from Krishna's perspective in the Bhagavad-gita. That's how Krishna presents Ashtanga yoga. If you read the 6th chapter, he says you do Ashtanga yoga to find me. If you look at the 12th chapter or the 9th chapter, he speaks of jnana, and in both cases, he speaks of it as paths to him. So precisely what karma sannyas means is I'm walking away from my social duties in life as a spiritual path. And precisely what karma yoga means is I'm engaging in my social duties as a spiritual path, and that's it, if we want to be precise. Now, if you want to say that the first two have a more of a common tendency, that people practice them because they lean towards a non-dual worldview, I would agree with you. But that's not exactly what karma sannyas means. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kaustubha.
Vaishnavananda.
The
mic's not on.
What? This?
There's a switch on the mic.
Switch on? Here?
There we go.
Sorry.
And-
Thank you very much. One little questions about this division. The Ashtanga and the Jnana, it's referring to the Patanjali yoga system with the Ashtanga, and the Jnana is referring to the Sankhya system, the path.
Yes. You see, the path, I chose to use the term Ashtanga yoga here. I could have said Dhyana yoga.
Mm-hmm.
In English, I could have said meditative yoga.
Mm-hmm.
But commonly when people lay out the four, they use the term Ashtanga. In the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna actually uses the word Dhyana yoga.
Okay.
And he'll commonly say Jnana yoga or Sankhya when he's speaking of Jnana.
Okay.
So one is a path wherein one controls the senses and settles the mind, stills the mind. And it involves asana and so on. So we can call that Ashtanga.
Yeah, the 8 limbs.
Yes. But it's not exactly 8 limbs when you read about it in Bhagavad Gita, but it's talking about the same thing, essentially. And Jnana Yoga here means, we could call it Sankhya,
Mm-hmm.
a path that involves analysis, analyzing the distinction between what is spirit and what is matter, and systematically removing all illusion, breaking all material desire through that analysis.
Yeah. So the idea is that the goal of one path is the isolation. The goal of the other path is like the knowledge of the...
Not the goal. The goal, according to the Bhagavad Gita, the goal of all these paths is to find God in your heart.
Okay.
Okay? But the method is different. The strategy is different.
Okay.
The strategy is different. That's the key difference here. What is yoga? Yoga means, what am I going to do about my mind so that I can experience my own true nature internally? All of these paths are doing that. All these paths are addressing the problem of the mind so that we can experience our own inner nature. But each one has a different strategy for how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes them different from one another.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
And just one more little things about the envious and being envious, because I'm reading the Mahabharata,
Okay.
and I have seen how in Duryodhana, envy, it's so very much remarked how Duryodhana was envy. So it is possible also that envy is identified also by Krishna as the cause of all, like the root of all evil things and bad quality in humans, in the human character. Also because Duryodhana has, and he's saying to Arjuna, look how Duryodhana
Yes.
was envy. Okay.
Yes. Krishna is, by saying, because I'm explaining this to you because you're not envious, Krishna is identifying that as the key to blocking our understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Mihao.
Thank you. I have a question about I understand that there are sort of like a maturity to karma, to jnana, to bhakti. So evolution and motive. But meantime, does anybody, well, do we have like any particular tendency of disposition to choose either bhakti or jnana or karma? Because when I was reading that there are chapter 333, I was talking about sabhavava, natural temperament, like everybody has.
Oh, yes.
And then also the last two classes that you mentioned about adhikara, the quality of that everybody has. So
Yes.
like, do we have any sort of like tendency or disposition of something like that?
In terms of karma sannyasa or karma yoga.
Yeah.
All of those distinctions. So let me see if I can sum up your question. You're saying that there's a verse that we summarized, we went over, we passed over it in the third chapter, where Krishna says everybody has their own nature, and there's no use in ignoring that, resisting that. And so you're asking, so maybe some people are more by nature attuned to working in this world, and some are more attuned by nature to walking away from the duties.
Yeah.
Really, what he was saying was all within the context of karma yoga. In other words, he was saying some people by nature are brahmanas, some people by nature are kshatriyas, some people by nature are shudras, some people are by nature are which one did I skip? Kshatriyas, brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, shudras. Arjuna, you by nature are kshatriya, you're a warrior. There's no use in resisting that. So engage in that work. Don't walk away from the world. Engage in that work. Now, earlier he said, if you're already self-realized, no matter what your previous nature was, if you're already self-realized, then you can walk away from the world. Then you're qualified not to do duty. If you already have this very peaceful mind and full detachment. But if you're not, then you should act according to your nature. You should do the duties that are prescribed according to your conditioning. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I want to.
Dominica, already got the mic. We're having trouble with the thing? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We'll get along one way or another.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, to just take that further, because in text 5, I know everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature which have been given by Krishna.
Yes.
So is this part of our karma that we have this particular role because of our material nature, that it's kind of like imbibed? It's our experience that we're going to receive. So is that already kind of predetermined, or that
Yes.
have a tendency to go to one or another?
But then the question is, what do you do with that? So it's not that we don't have free will, but we're born with a certain type of conditioning. Now, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to transcend it? And what are you going to do with it? How are you going to engage it? And how are you going to transcend it? And so Krishna is saying, you've got the conditioning of a warrior. What are you going to do with it? And how are you going to transcend it? And I'm telling you, you might try to walk away from it. You're not going to transcend it that way. You'll be a pretender. You'll look like a yogi, but you still haven't transcended it. But I'm showing you can engage it. But you do it contemplating the knowledge that the Jnani has, contemplating the knowledge that the yogi has. And you can engage it and transcend it that way. And he's saying there's no use, and that goes back to the verse that Miha, no use in trying to ignore it, Arjuna. A lot of times people use that verse to try to justify being whimsical. Well, Krishna says that you can't resist your nature. It's actually the exact opposite. Arjuna wanted to walk away from the battlefield and be whimsical. And Krishna's saying, Arjuna, by nature, you're a warrior. It's not like that just goes away because you walk away. You should act according to it. So really, he was regulating him rather than giving him freedom to do whatever he wanted to. Okay. 4th chapter. Here comes our camera person. Okay. Krishna says, he says that he begins to say the science of karma yoga that I just described to you in the 3rd chapter, that I taught this to the god of the sun. This isn't a new thing. This isn't some consolation prize that is for people that don't have the qualification to walk away. This is real yoga. And it was handed down. And he's saying that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is told by me to you. Because Bhakto Seme Sakha Cheti Rahasyam Hitarutamam. Because you're my devotee and my friend. Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, devotee and friend. Therefore, you can understand this rahasya. He's saying, and take note of this, Will, you may find this interesting. He's saying that we can read these books, but it still remains mysterious to us. What's the point? What's the essence? And he's saying the qualification for understanding it. And he's not saying it's austerity. He's not saying it's intelligence. He's saying bhakto, because you're my devotee. Sime, of me. Sakha, and a friend, Cheti, also. Certainly also. Because you are certainly my friend and my devotee. Therefore, this rahasya. Have you heard this term rahasya before? A lot of yoga books are called rahasya. The yoga rahasya, this rahasya, the secrets of this, the secrets of that, jnana rahasya, this rahasya, that rahasya. It's a common, like Pradeepa, a lot of these books are called the light on this, light on that. Or rahasya, the secrets of this, the secrets of that. So Krishna's saying that understanding the spiritual knowledge, it remains mysterious to people, but you'll be able to understand it. I'm telling it to you, Arjuna, because you're my devotee and you're my friend, and therefore you'll be able to understand this mystery. Important. Okay. Please roll up the. Arjuna asks a question that goes to understanding who is this Krishna. He says, well, you're telling me that you instructed this to Vivasvan, the god of the sun, but he was born a very long time ago, like pretty much before everybody else. And you're my age. You're my cousin. How am I to understand this? And Krishna says, we all go through many different births and deaths, but I remember them all because I'm of a whole different nature. He says this, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates. This is important stuff. He's saying my body's not like everybody else's body. I got a spiritual body, right? Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I'm the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. I'm beyond this universe. My body isn't made out of this universal stuff, these 3 modes of material nature, material ingredients. My body never deteriorates. But still, I come into this universe. Every millennium I come in, and I play a role. And this is called Krishna's Leela. He plays in this world, but he also plays in this world for a particular reason. He accomplishes many things at once. What's going on in Mahabharata right now? It's like a Star Wars battle going on, right? What do little kids do when they play? I know what boys would do, right? We would fight, but like, what did we play? Like cops and robbers. We played like army, like it's a war. That's always what we'd be playing, that kind of thing, you know? And Krishna plays that way too. It's just a reflection of how Krishna plays. Krishna comes and he fights. He enjoys it. There's when we a lot of films have to do with battles, wars, some kind of struggle. Why? it's more than just the battle that people are watching. It's the emotions that are taking place in the battle, right? A lot of times it's romances are set within these kind of contexts. The love, how is love being exchanged, and how are the external circumstances intensifying the emotions? You understand?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
That's why they make, like if you read a book on script writing, it'll say you have to identify the protagonist, like the main character. And within the first like 30 seconds of the film, the main character is supposed to do something that makes you feel a little bit sympathetic to them. Even if it's some little thing, some small little thing that the character does, it makes you think, oh, okay, I like this character. And then you know what you're supposed to do to the character? Give them problems, give them trouble. And then after that, you know what you're supposed to do? No, not quite yet. Not yet. Give them more trouble. And more trouble still. And then the arc generally has to do with, their internal conflict, their struggle, and so on. But the romance always has to have obstacles, right? There always has to be love placed in as an obstacle to love being fulfilled. And that's what Krishna does here. He comes and he plays this way. He's got a love affair going on with Arjuna right now. They're going to fight together. They're going to fight an enemy together. When men fight enemies together, they become very close, right? You see that? You see these old men that fought in World War II together, and they're still coming back for these reunions because they understand each other better than anybody else understands them, right? They know what they've gone through together, and they sacrifice for each other. They risk their own lives to protect the lives of their friends. There's a bond between them that's so strong. And there's a bond like that between Krishna and Arjuna, like that. And that's why they're fighting this battle. What are they doing? They're saving Mother Earth from all the intergalactic demons who have taken birth and are just ruining everything. And Krishna turned to Arjuna, you got to stand up. Come on, my friend. You got to get it together. You got to fight. So Krishna's sharing all of this yogic knowledge, all this metaphysical, philosophical knowledge, but it's all within this romantic setting. Come on, man. I'm counting on you. I'm here for you. Let's fight together. So all that's happening. And now Krishna's going to talk about, I'm not from this world, but when I come into this world, I play like this. And why does he play? The answer is always going to be love, because that's the only thing that Krishna enjoys. So when he plays, everybody else can witness his play and become attracted to it. And so let's hear about that now. He says, whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise in adharma, when dharma goes down and adharma goes up, at that time I descend, I come in. The earth needed it at this time, right? All the dharma was out of whack. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of dharma, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So, paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver the sadhus, right? All the good people, right? And to paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam, and to wipe out the problematic elements in society, right? I come, and to reestablish dharma, to reset the universe so that it starts working properly again. I descend myself. But all the great bhakti commentators say that he doesn't have to come himself to do this. He could have somebody else to do it. But what he does is he enters into, he's from Goloka Vrindavan, and he enters into this temporary material world. And then he displays his Leela. You see his beauty. You see, you get to see, you get to witness his love. You get to witness his beauty, his power, his love, his opulences. So he's playing to have fun. He's playing because he wants to fight a battle with Arjuna. He wants to fight against the demons, have an adventure, right? But because that adventure is the setting wherein that love gets intensified and played out. And at the same time, He's demonstrating for the whole world they can see his Leela and become attracted to it themselves. Interesting, yes? This is knowledge of Krishna. Now this isn't just typical jnana. This is special divya jnana, special knowledge, transcendental knowledge of the person, Krishna. This knowledge is powerful. If you know about Krishna, you not only transcend this world, but you go to the highest realms. So he says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. Right? If you just know who Krishna is and understand him, understand why he comes, and how he leaves. So Krishna's telling Arjuna, we've got a battle to fight right now. I've come into this world, right, to fight the miscreants who are screwing up the whole world, right? Do it with me. Do it with me. It'll be fun, And anybody that understands why I'm here, I'm doing this to attract your heart, right? And anybody that gets that, they transcend this world and they go to the highest realm of Goloka Vrindavan. Knowledge of Krishna. Continuing. Okay, big verse here. This is a verse I never see people talk about so much, but I think it's so important. Where's my pointer? This was spoken about in the second chapter. Could we open up text 10, please? Vita raga bhaya krodha. Right, that phrase gets repeated in the Bhagavad-gita. Freed from raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha, anger. Okay? This is what a wise person is, how they're situated, right? They're free of attachment, they're free of fear, they're free of anger, they have a peaceful mind. With that peaceful mind, you can focus, you can meditate, you can absorb that mind. So when we hear being freed from attachment, fear, and anger on our evolution and clarity, where are we? Right here, people? Wisdom, thank you. Oh, I think my battery is running out. I got to recharge. So yeah, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me. Being fully absorbed in me, right? Right? Taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they attained transcendental love for me. See that?
So it has wisdom, absorption, and love.
That's right. Right? You see the pattern laid out right there by Krishna, right? Mm-hmm. Being freed from, by knowing about me, right? Knowledge is what's purifying, and knowledge of Krishna is incredibly powerful. It's more powerful than ordinary jnana, this Krishna jnana. By knowing about me, you become freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Then you can absorb yourself in thinking of me. And then you develop this love for me awakens in you. This is what Bhagavad-gita is teaching. Okay? So understand why I'm here, Arjuna, right? I'm not just here by some chance. I'm here on a mission of love. I'm clearing up all the problems in the universe. It's going to be a great dynamic adventure, and you can take part in it, or you could choose to chicken out and, act according to your attachments and think that walking away from this battlefield is somehow a better idea. You kidding me? Fight with me. Let's go. Okay. Then he says, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, Arjuna. This can be a confusing verse, I think. He's saying there's no turning away from me. Whatever path you take, if you want the path of karma kanda, I'm the one that's supplying everything. If you want the path of jnana kanda, it's ultimately my impersonal nature that you're connecting with. If you want to connect with me as a person, that's my path too. There's no turning away from me. Understand that. Right? And as you surrender unto me, if you come to me wanting peace, I can give you that impersonal Brahman if you want that. If you come to me wanting material things, karma kanda approach, I can give you that. But if you come to me out of love, then I'll give you love. You'll feel my love. You feel it at every moment. I'll reciprocate according. As you approach me, he's saying, I'm not forcing anything on anyone, but nobody can turn away from me, even if they think they are. There's nowhere in this universe you can turn where you're not bumping into Krishna in one of his manifestations or another, right? So he's kind of just laying out the ontological, metaphysical reality. You can't get away from Krishna. Where are you going to run? Where it's not his energy. All right, let's jump ahead a bit, and let's go to verse 25. Actually, let's go scroll down just a bit. The other way. Okay. He's going to say that when you work with full detachment, that the work becomes transcendental, that the work itself becomes Brahman, that all the ingredients in your work and all the aspects of your work become spiritualized. And then he talks about all the different ways, all the different kind of yogas or dharmas that people do. And that begins at about text 25. Please roll it up to 25. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some offer sacrifices into the fire of the supreme Brahman. Some worship the devas, some worship the impersonal oneness. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. I control my senses and I hear knowledge. I hear wisdom, right? That's their yoga path. Others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. I'm going to do the material things, have sex, have a home, have a job, raise children, embrace my children, love them, but I'm going to do this all according to the Vedic process. So I'm offering the objects of the senses into the fire of the senses, but with this knowledge that's burning up the reactions. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing yoga of the eightfold mysticism, doing Ashtanga yoga, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge, or like Jnana yoga. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. So this is some kind of very advanced pranayama practice, going into trance through it. Others curtailing the eating process offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. There are yogis that don't even eat food. They're out there. There's the BBC documentary done on one of them. Yeah, the skeptics got together and scientists, they put him in a room. He didn't eat. I don't know, I forget, but they were all blown away. I'll tell you that. They're like, what's going on? They had him all, wires on him and everything. They're watching him. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction. Having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Krishna is validating all different types of yoga paths here. He's not recommending them all. He's validating them all. Okay? He's not going to recommend Arjuna sit down and do this breathing practice. He's not telling Arjuna, he's going to tell him exactly what he should do, but he's validating all these paths. And what he's going to be saying as we go forward is that if you just remember me, if you just give your life to me, you're going to get what that these yogis get, you're going to get it all and more. So he continues, all these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas. They're real. And all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Okay, this is a deepening of knowledge, a maturing of knowledge, a knowledge that matures from theoretical to realized. That's all these practices are meant to take us from theoretical knowledge to realized knowledge. If we're not going that way, we're not achieving the goal of these things. We're not practicing them properly. Now he gets really interesting because he's said, okay, knowledge is the goal of all of this, that you see the world more clearly. You perceive the world clearly. You have all that detachment and so on. But what does that knowledge really look like? How do I get it, and what does it look like? What do I realize when I get that knowledge? Are you ready? This next verse is a very famous one. Just try to learn the truth. Tadvidhi pranipatena, parish prashnena sevaya. This is more than just go to college and sit in front of the professor and take notes and memorize, right? Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from them submissively. That all makes sense. And sevaya, and do seva to them, right? In other words, the receptivity has to do with your own humility, right? So inquire, serve the right person who really has a deep understanding. They'll be able to help you, right? The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Okay, what is the truth that they've seen? Would you like to know?
Yep.
This is a really interesting verse. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never again fall into such illusion. Why? For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but a part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Right? This is another Krishna verse, right? When you see the truth, you're going to see every living being in connection to Krishna, their source. Seeing them separate from that source is to misunderstand them. Seeing them in connection to that source is to know them in truth. When you see every living being as connected to God, now you're becoming truly self-real. Now you're beginning to understand the truth of what's going on in this world. If you're not seeing that, you're an illusion. He just boiled down truth to that, right? Very transformational. He continues. Now he's going to glorify transcendental knowledge. And he's been talking especially about knowledge of Krishna here, who he is. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you're situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you'll be able to cross over all the miseries. He's going to glorify transcendental knowledge. Maybe I'll hit him quick. In this world, there's nothing so sublime as pure transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. We're talking about this level of absorption now, right? This matured knowledge, this deep, insightful mind where you can go within and feel. Have any of you ever had an experience? I hope to some degree you've all had this. I know I've had experiences where I've just surrendered, like you surrender a long, hard day in service of Krishna. Sometimes as a brahmachari, at the end of that day, you just lie down on the floor, and go to sleep. My blanket or my sheets would be the dhoti I wore that day, right? I would take my chadar and I'd wrap it around my sweater, and that would be my pillow for that day. And you would just feel good. You just feel bliss. You would realize, I don't need anything to be happy. All I need is service. All I need is my connection to God. And what else do I need? Right? There's to be able to relish truth within oneself and find happiness without having anything external, no external need. Krishna's saying you can get there, Arjuna. Right? You can get there. Bhagavad-gita is pointing us this way again. Krishna's going to say, this person is dear to me that's understood this. That instead of wildly, recklessly, foolishly, childishly trying to exploit different resources of this world, what was I doing? Right in here, I know you, Krishna, right? I know myself in relation to you. Now I look outside, I see everything in relation to you. That's the yogi that Krishna is saying, become like that, Arjuna. Nice, yes? Keep thinking of Bhagavad-gita like this. This is what we have to cultivate. This is what we have to understand. This is what has to awaken in us, all right? Why don't we move on to the 5th chapter and hit some highlights there? We're going to see that Arjuna is going to ask a question in the beginning of the 5th chapter that's not so different than the beginning of the 3rd chapter. Right? Arjuna says, "Oh Krishna, first you asked me to renounce work, And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? He hasn't asked him to renounce work. He's spoken about it, but he didn't ask him to renounce work. And Krishna says, renunciation of work and devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work and devotional service is better than renunciation of work. He said it straight up, right? He didn't mince words. And he's going to give two reasons. He's going to say that it's faster and it's easier. He says, one who neither, he's going to say that you get the results, you get the same results from both. In other words, both of these can take you to wisdom. Both of these can take you to full detachment and a peaceful mind. Right? It's not that one can do it and the other doesn't. Right? One who neither hates the fruits of his activities is known, who neither hates nor desires. Doesn't have attraction to material things, doesn't have aversion to material things. Is known always to be renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. Only the ignorant speak of karma yoga as being different from the Sankhya yoga. Only what he's saying, there's only an ignorant person thinks that by doing this you don't get the results of that. Arjuna, you think that, and only if you walk away from the world do you get all this wisdom and peace of mind and all that. No. Only ignorant people speak. You can get that by doing this too. That's what he's saying. One who knows that the position reached by the analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, by karma yoga, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. He's really arguing that this gives you just as much as this, because that's what Arjuna didn't understand. Make sense? Okay. That's the opening of the 5th chapter. By the time we get to text 13, please continue to scroll up. He talks about how we can, if we actually have this knowledge, we can be existing in our body and doing work in this world and be perfectly happy. Like that. You're not happy being a warrior right now because you're lacking this knowledge, you're lacking this realization, this understanding. But when you have it, you'll be very happy. Even the embodied being is very happy. They really understand what's going on. I'm a spark inside a body in a virtual reality, and the movements of this whole place have nothing to do with my internal happiness. Essentially, that's what he says here. And then he gives a series of verses that speak about this wisdom platform and absorption platform in a very beautiful way. I want to read those verses. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. These verses, I really say that sometimes people say, like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But most people have a difficult time articulating what that means. What do you mean by spiritual? Well, it's like I'm not into, this institution or, these priests or rabbis or, but they can't really say, what do you mean? What is your spirituality? Well, I think that we find a good definition of it in these verses. And it comes down to 3 things that get emphasized throughout the Gita. They're all going to be spoken about in verses 18 through 26 or so. And those 3 things are you ready for them? It's something I speak about a lot. If you listen to my classes, you probably heard me speak about this. First one is called Samadarshana, meaning seeing every living being equally. Sama, sameness, darshana, seeing. Means that rather than judging everything by the external body, whether it's gender, race, species, I see that within all of them, there's the soul. And I'm able to relate to that soul past the body. Right? I can see past the body and connect to that soul. Right? Samadarshana. Another one is called Samatvam, even-mindedness. We've spoken about that, right? Hot or cold, honor, dishonor, whatever it is, whatever the externals are, doesn't affect me. I've got peace of mind, unshaken by externals, Samatvam. And the third one, he calls it different things here, but I'm using the term Anta Sukha. Anta means inner. Sukha means happiness, joy. Yeah, inner happiness, inner bliss, inner joy. I don't think I need anything external to find happiness. I don't look for happiness in external things. I find happiness within. These three things, that's spiritual, right? If you got these three things, you're a spiritual person. You're not controlled and bewildered by the material energy. You're in touch with the spiritual energy and experiencing it. Does that make sense? So this series of verses hits all three, right? It hits all three. And nice verses to meditate. If you ever want to share the meaning of the Bhagavad-gita or the teachings of the Bhagavad-gita with the person that's new to it, if you go to these verses, I think a lot. This is the kind of thing people say, "Oh, I like this. Yes, this is spiritual." Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's start at text 18. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision. Samadarshana. A learned and gentle brahmana. That means a very refined gentleman. Very well behaved. A cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, an outcast, meaning someone who's not so refined in their behavior, someone who's much more crude in their behavior. So it's giving us animals and two humans. One human that's like socially very refined and gentleman, and another person that's like far less so. And he's saying beyond the body, even beyond the mindset, the yogi sees equality underneath. Make sense? Yeah. Right? I don't hate this person because of their behavior, even. This person is eating dogs, right? That's not a nice thing to do. But I don't hate them because of it. I see that they got a mindset. In my previous life, I may have had the exact same mindset. I may have been a dog eater. At some point, I probably was a dog eater, right? I don't judge them based on that. I can recognize this is well behaved, this is not well behaved. But I see an equal soul underneath, and I know that we're all going through these shifts and changes, like that, Samadarshana. Sometimes I use this example. Imagine a world, I'm going to try to do this quick. Imagine a world where your entire status in life, the way that people treated you, the privileges that you received, the quality of your experience in the world was entirely, tightly tied to the car that you drove, right? There's certain people that are driving Mercedes-Benz and Lexus and all this, and everybody says, "Oh, look at them! They're the good people. They're the beautiful people. They get all the privileges in life." And then there's other people that are driving. Well, I really need to get a good economy car down nowadays. I would say Ford Pinto, the Gremlin, these things that they don't have anymore.
Kia,
Huh?
Honda, or Kia.
Yes. The Gremlin. Yeah. Nowadays, they would say?
Honda, Kia.
Ford Fiesta? Okay, let's go with Ford Fiesta. Just a simple, plain car. Some people are driving around these economy cars, and they feel like second-class, third-class citizens. You think they might have a little resentment towards the other car drivers? Possible? Yes. You think the luxury car drivers might feel a sense of pride? You think there might be a lot of tension based on that? Possibly? Okay. Now imagine the exact same circumstance, the exact same world, except there's been one big change. Everybody switches cars every day. Okay? So you're driving a Lexus right now, but are you proud? You can't really, because tomorrow you're going to be driving an economy car. It doesn't say anything about you. Right? The car that you're driving clearly doesn't say anything about you. And can you look down at the person driving the Ford Fiesta? Yesterday I was driving a Ford Fiesta. And tomorrow I may be driving a Ford Fiesta. So I'm like them. We're equal. Okay? You understand? That's how the yogis see all the bodies in the world. Can I say that someone's less because they're a different gender, a different race, a different species even? Or even because they're well-behaved or not well-behaved? Because that is the mental mindset, the mental body. And so the yogi's saying, I've been through all the bodies. I've been in the Ford Fiesta, I've been in the Lexus, right? I've been man, woman, black, white, American, Indian. I've been human. I've been animal. I've been plant. I've been sinner. I've been saint. I've been all of these things. I just take it for granted. And I look at the others and I say, we're all in this together. going up and down in this waves of these different forms and so on and so forth. And from that platform, I relate to everyone. And that naturally breeds not pride, not resentment, but compassion. Compassion. Samadarshana. That's the way yogi sees. Nice? Okay. Next, text 19. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity. What do we call that? Samatvam. Sameness. Sameness and equanimity have already conquered birth and death. Right? They're once they're beyond the changings of this material world. They are flawless like Brahman. Right? And thus they are already situated in Brahman. Could we pull up that one that has the one that comes right after the big target? Just after the big target. What does it mean to be situated in Brahman? I'm beyond all temporary identities. I'm eternal blissful consciousness. I'm free from lamentation and desire. I'm one with the underlying spiritual reality. I should have here, I'm not my body. Right? I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. That's what it means to be situated in Brahman, right? Situated in the spiritual energy, unmoved by the material energy, right? So if we could go back now again to the... Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they're already situated in Brahman. They're beyond the influence of the material energy. So now we've had Samadarshana, Samatvam. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon something unpleasant, that's Samatvam, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God is already situated in transcendence. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, right? They got that absorption down now, right? We talk about that fifth level. They're always in trance. Where was I? Always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. What do we call that? Antasukha. I think that's the word that they use here. Could you open that one up, please? Sukham, akshayam, self-connected, happiness, sukham, happiness, unlimited, enjoys, in the self, atmani. Yeah, I think maybe in the next couple verses it uses the term. But here it is, right? Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure. If I'm attracted to material sense pleasure, I'm going to be up one day, down the next. Right? But is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Right? There's no limit to that. If I'm concentrating on anything material, whatever I'm going to get is going to be limited. If I concentrate on the Supreme, whatever I'm going to get is going to be unlimited. Right? Okay. Could we go back, please? An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so a wise person does not delight in them. Right? A wise person sees that anything external, anything material that I tie my happiness to, that the moment that the material thing deteriorates or erodes or is lost, I'm going to feel pain as well. So I don't see them as sources of pleasure. I see them as sources of misery. That's the way a wise person thinks, right? Instead, they're going to go within. Before giving up the present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he's well situated and happy in this world. One whose happiness is within. Oh, please open up this one, text 24. This is Antasukha here, yeah. One who Antasukha is happy from within. Anta Aramaha is actively enjoying within. Anta Jyoti, here it says aiming within, but Jyoti is usually translated as they're lit up within. They've got inner light, right? One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, whose aim is inward, who's lit up from within, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately attains the Supreme. Text 25. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, and who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. That's a nice little chunk of verses there, yes? That gave us the picture, Arjuna, this is what you need to become. This is what a real yogi is. You want all of this. You like all this kind of talk about achieving this peace and everything, but you think the only way that you'll get it is from walking away. But I'm telling you, you can do it by working in this world. You can become this kind of yogi. All right. Then text 27 and 28, he starts to talk about Ashtanga Yoga, right? He says, shutting out the external senses, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. This is, it almost sounds a little jarring, like, whoa, you just flipped the switch. The way that I understand this, I'm interpreting it this way, is he's talking about how one achieves this state through karma yoga. He's saying you can also achieve it through Ashtanga yoga. And now he's going to say you can achieve it through bhakti yoga. And this is the verse that I brought up earlier. Please open up this one. Such an important verse. This is the big Krishna factor verse in this chapter. A person who is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be what? 3 things. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam. I'm the beneficiary of all sacrifices and all sacrifices and austerities. If you're doing something austere in life, it's meant to satisfy me. If you're offering something in life, it's meant to satisfy me. Oh my God, you're the big enjoyer here. Bhoktaram, you get all the boga. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Loka means all the planets, all the places. Not just Ishvaram, not just the controller, but the Maha Ishvaram, the big controller. I'm the big controller around here, he's saying. I'm the big controller everywhere, right? Oh my God, this guy's going on and on about himself. He's the enjoyer, the controller, everything's meant for him, right? But also, Suhridam, Sarva Bhutanam. I am the Suhridam, the good-hearted friend of every living being. There's not even one that I'm not the good-hearted friend of, right? That's who I am. So yes, I'm controlling everything, but I love everyone, right? And if you know me in all these 3 ways, Gyatva Mam Shantamrichati, knowing me thus, Gyatva Mam Shantamrichati, one achieves peace, Shanti, right? If look at how the universe works, look at the design. Look at how a household works, look at the design. The parents are in control. They're the providers, they're the controllers, they're the well-wishers, right? At least if it's like a healthy family, right? And the child will benefit not from walking away or turning away from them or trying to take their position, which they're not qualified to do, but to recognize that position and receive the loving embrace and care of the parent, right? Recognize the design. If you try to operate outside harmony of that, you suffer. And if you accept it, you have full shelter and pleasure and happiness, right? Look at the design, of the plant, right? The root is maintaining all the leaves. If the leaf wants to take the role of the root, it's going to suffer. But as long as it recognizes the design and acts in harmony with that design, stays connected, then it'll be vibrant and alive. So Krishna's saying, this is the universe. Yeah, I am the one that is controlling all the devas and all the planets and all of that. And when you give to me, I've already, whatever you're giving to me, I've already given to you, right? But it's the mood of love in which you give, right? Give with love and I'll accept it and we'll be connected. And I'm giving to you with love all the time. Recognize that and you return to your healthy state. And he says, Shantamrichati, then you'll have peace. Any other strategy, you will not have peace. Just does not work, right? So Prabhupada had a name for this verse. Do you know what it was? The peace formula. This is the formula for peace. Okay, we've covered 3rd, 4th, and 5th chapters. That's almost the pace that we need to go at if we're going to cover the rest. Because we've got, how many days left? We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got 4 days left. And so if we did 3 chapters a day, we'd do 12 chapters. Right?
3 times 4 is 12. Yeah.
So we could do this.
And
We could do this. Because how many chapters do we have left?
12.
We have exactly 12
We've
left?
done 6. We have 12 left.
We haven't done 6. We've done 5. See, that's how I knew. Huh?
6 through 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're 1 chapter behind.
We're 1 chapter back.
All right. Please, if you can,
Factor. We can do it.
this is very good. If you can, I would like to try to cover, I don't know what I'm going to try to cover. We definitely have to do chapter 6.
Yeah.
7, 8. We'll probably do 6, 7, and 8 tomorrow. Okay, so try to read those ahead of time. Any questions about today's chapters, you can write them down. We could try to take them tomorrow morning or when we open up. And we're going to do this, people. We're going to do this. Okay, thank you all so very much. Hari Om Tat Sat.